think it has its challenges for both of us. I think the challenge is there for Pato dealing with the size and strength advantage. And I think the challenge is there for Pato being able to just deal with me in general because I feel like I'm a lot higher level than any of the opponents he's gone against recently.
Hello, guys. I'm really happy to have one of the best grapplers in the world, my friend Dante Leon here. I think it's the first time you talk with Brazilian media, right?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, first interview I've done like this for with Brazilian media. Yeah.
I'm really happy, man. Let's talk about uh, how are you feel living this moment at your career? Two gold medals at Worlds Nogi, title at Who's Number One, living your best moment, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is at this point in my career, I'm built up a lot of accolades. I have a lot of titles. Um, it's kind of like the culmination of all the hard work and all the dedication over the years. So I've had some really good results. I had a great year last year. But I feel like I'm getting started. I'm getting rolling. I'm still feeling motivated. I'm still feeling good, and more than being motivated, I feel like I've just found my groove.
Uh, for you, was the most change you did for live this moment? Win a big titles, beat a big names in the sport. What's the was the big change you did?
I don't think I did a big change necessarily, like a complete turnaround or a huge change. I think just over time, slowly, but I was just getting better and better since like 2017, since I got my black belt. I was always really good and I was always high up in the rankings, but slowly over time, I just got better and better, and it went from placing at the Worlds and getting a medal, went from, almost getting a medal at ADCC to an improvement in every single tournament that we do after that. So I think it's just been a slow improvement over time. And now that I've been doing that and I have evidence that what I do works, that I can continue to do it. I can continue to improve on my training schedule. I can continue to improve on myself little by little. And if everything goes right, the results will continue to build.
Nice. And now you come from 85, 80 victories in a row. Uh, what's this change to the fighters going to a big challenge coming from 85 eight fights in a row? Change a little bit in your mind or not?
Yeah, if you're on a win streak, you have some confidence, you know what I mean? It just depends on how you look at things. I think some athletes may look at that as pressure. Some athletes may look at it as something that is a bit daunting for them because they feel the pressure that they have to continue to win. They can't lose that streak or they can't lose their, performance edge. I don't feel that very much. I just feel like if I continue to do what I'm supposed to do, I continue to perform well, then I will continue my win streak, and I'm not it's hard to focus on the win streak when I have certain opponents in certain matches that are so tough. It gets hard to focus on how many wins I have in a row, because there's just so many challenging opponents. There's so many challenging, obstacles throughout this, competitive journey.
No. Nice. And now you has a target on your back, and a lot of guys start talking about you on social media. Oh, I'm the next to face Dante. I want to face Dante. I beat some guys and I need to face Dante. How do you see this? How do you analyze this moment for you?
Yeah, a lot of guys say that they need to have a match with me, but it doesn't really happen that much. I have to hunt down matches and I have to like go through multiple people to get a match. For who's number one, I had to go through multiple people and ended up landing on a guy who's in a weight division lower than me. So all these people that talk and say that they want matches, when when it comes time to be real, um, a lot of times they're pretty quiet, or a lot of times they got something else to do. So yeah, there's a lot of people that say a lot, do a lot, but they say a lot, but when it comes down to it, they don't really do a lot. So, I want these matches. I want the toughest matches. I want the toughest guys. I don't want easy matches. I'm not trying to build up a win streak of 50 plus matches just competing against whoever. I want tough people.
Nice. And now you have a big challenge, and for you is a difference because it's a guy coming from another division like Pato. And how do you analyze this match, Dante? Because for me, going to be more strange match for Pato. What do you think this fight about this fight?
Um, I think it has its challenges for both of us. I think the challenge is there for Pato dealing with the size and strength advantage. I think the challenge is there for Pato, being able to just deal with me in general because I feel like I'm a lot higher level than any of the opponents he's gone against recently. So I think that's a big challenge for him. Something I think will be good for him is he doesn't really have to feel a lot of pressure about this match. He's already the champ at 145. He's already a world champion. It's not like if he loses this match, something's going to change. He's still going to have his title. He's still going to be able to say he's the best 145 pounder in the world and the second best 155er. So there's not really a whole lot there that he can feel pressure about. And for myself, I know that Pato is going to be a challenge as well. I know he's very good. I know he has a unique body style. He has the really short legs, really flexible legs. So it's going to be different or, maybe a little bit of a challenge to deal with compared to other matches that I've had.
And your style is different for the all opponents that he face, and what's going to make a difference for you in this fight? Your styling can be a tough for him.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that can challenge him is not just things like pressure or strength or speed or athleticism, my passing, all those things are really good and I think can give him trouble. The thing that's going to give him the most trouble is 15 minutes of it constantly. He hasn't experienced that. If you look back at his matches, he's has experience against guys who don't really play on top, who kind of pass from the outside, who don't like to get close to him or exchange leg locks with him. So I'm going to be that guy who does that, but I'm going to do it for 15 minutes. I'm not going to do it for 5 minutes and try and stall. I'm not going to, try and like hop past his guard from the outside. I'm going to try and put pressure on him and fatigue him mentally and physically for 15 minutes. So, regardless of who he's training with, regardless of what's going on there, that is a challenge.
Yes. And after this match, what's your biggest plan for this 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 year? You want to do a more super fights or just training until the ADCC?
Yeah, everything this year is kind of going to be around ADCC. Um, I have a tournament at the end of the month, the IBJJF Grand Prix and it's an open class. So that's a little bit of a fun challenge too. That doesn't really it does get me ready for ADCC, but it is a little bit different because I'm going against the bigger guys. But everything I'm doing this year, I'm trying to do in coordinates to ADCC. I want to do everything to be my best for ADCC. So any match that I take, any tournaments that I do, any trips to train, anything like that is going to be with ADCC in mind rather than any other tournaments.
And this Grand Prix going to be a huge, and we're going to analyze it more before the GCC. For you, we're going to have some big fight that can't happen before this tournament because the other guys is some difference for you. And how do you analyze this competition for you as a professional fighter, but makes that can make a difference for mentalities before the ADCC because you're gonna face big names, big guys too.
Yeah, the challenge of fighting the bigger opponents is always fun. I've always liked that. It's always been something I prided myself on being able to win open classes or matches against bigger opponents since I was like a blue belt. So it is something that I have experience with. It is something I enjoy doing, and I think it's going to be a really special thing because with all those people in the tournament, I really don't have a chance to compete against them really any other way, and unless I do like an open class of a tournament, I can't go against guys like, Roosevelt or Patrick Audio. I'll never be able to get a match with those guys. We're like 3 and 4, 5 weight classes between us. So
Yes.
it is really cool that I get to do this tournament. I get to get matches that are unique that I could never get anywhere else, really. And another thing too is it's cool to be like the smaller guy. It's always kind of scary, I guess, scary to a lot of people. It's why like the opens don't have too many people
Yes.
my size, I guess. But I've always really enjoyed it. I always thought it was cool. I always thought it was a cool thing. I'm fortunate enough to have the strength and athletic ability to level the playing field quite a bit, and then I have really good jiu-jitsu, so I can allow that to shine through against these guys. So it is cool, and it shows a different side of my game.
Nice. And Dante, what you can talking about your training? I know you like to do some liftings, and but I don't know how do you prepare yourself to the fight because I never see your training. How your training works
Uh,
to do an ogi, to do super fights? How is your training?
so my training's pretty it stays the same pretty well throughout the year. The only difference is maybe a few sessions will be added when it comes to bigger matches or tournaments or things like that. Maybe it will be more of like a fight camp style. But typically, my training will go with a competition training or hard training in the mornings, 9:30 to 11:30 or 9:45 to 11:45. After that, that's Monday through Friday, and then each of those days at night, I can have another session, whether it's drilling, whether it's uh, positional training, whatever it may be. That's usually a lighter session. And 4 times a week, I lift. I lift on Monday, Tuesdays. Nope, I lift Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So those are my days that I lift. So 4 of the days that I'm training jujitsu, I'm also lifting, and then the other days I'm only doing jujitsu.
And what you can eat in this moment for prepare yourself to the fight, and you like to eat but you can't in this moment. How
Uh,
works for you?
yeah, so like my diet's pretty good, I get to eat a lot of food because I stay very disciplined with my diet, so I get to eat a lot, but the cravings always come around, when you can't eat what you'd like to eat. So I love McDonald's. I love fast food, and all the time when I diet, I feel like I crave it more. I love anything from like the gas station, chocolate bars. In America, the gas station's always a snack run, so any chocolate bars, any chips, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, things like that, and if I have my option, I very rarely eat any junk. If I'm left to my own devices and if my weight can be whatever it needs to be, I will very rarely eat the junk 'cause I don't really have the cravings. But as soon as I start dieting to get my weight down, the cravings come back.
Nice. McDonald's, Coca-Cola is good.
Oh yeah,
You
for sure.
can always stay happy eating this, but for athletes is a different. You need to keep the diet on point, and these make a difference because the levels is the same for all fighters. What do you think about this?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think everything makes a difference, It's and it comes down to how you feel. You don't necessarily need to have the strictest diet ever, or you don't need to have you know, the heaviest lifting program or anything like this, but you need to feel good. And over time, I've realized that, I might feel good mentally if I get to eat cheeseburgers when I want. I might feel happy or happier when I get to, have cheat meals and things like this. But if I stay really disciplined and I stay on my diet and I keep my diet as tight as possible, I feel the best. I feel physically great. I wake up in the morning, I feel good. I'm hydrating throughout the day. I'm putting the right fuel in my body. I just feel good, and I'm on a good regimen. I'm on a good schedule. So it just works for me. And it's not, you know, mainly because I have to make weight. But the biggest thing is even if I had to be at 170 or 175 and I have more ability to eat what I want with my weight, I'm still gonna diet kind of the same way. Just eat a little bit more. I'm still gonna follow my nutrition plan just because I feel good when I do it.
Nice. And now I would to ask you some personal opinion. In the same event to Who's Number One next month, we're going to have Mica Galvão and Tainan Dalper. And you fought with Taza and Kenta, two opponents that's going to face Tainan and Mica. And for the first question, how do you analyze this fight for Tainan? Going to be a big challenge for him.
Yeah, I think so. Tainan's gonna have a little bit of a strength size advantage. Tainan's gonna have really good guard passing, I feel like. Even in no gi, he's going to be positionally very strong, but it remains to be seen how he can deal with somebody who is a good leg locker. And not just a good leg locker, but Taza has very good leg lock entries. Taza has really unorthodox or unique style to his leg locks and entries. If you watch him compete, he doesn't do things like really anybody else that I've seen at the highest level. So this could potentially be a big challenge for Tainan. I see the match going one of two ways. I don't really see anything else other than Tainan wins a positional match against him, passes, maybe, mounts, things like this, or Taza submits him. Um, I don't really see anything in between. I don't see like a close points match. I don't see a um Taza beats him by points. I definitely don't see Tainan submitting Taza. I see it either being like a points blowout for Tainan or a submission victory for Taza.
And for Mika, a lot of guys was surprised with these knots because they waiting for more big names facing Mika. But Kenta is a good guy. He won the I think he won the trials, and he did a good fight with the other athletes. And for you, what's the big challenge Kenta brings for these fights to face Mika?
I think the challenges that Kenta will bring him to Mika is his durability, his toughness, his wrestling ability, his defense. He's strong in a lot of those areas that can pose problems for somebody like Mika. Um, he can wrestle well on the feet. He's very hard to take down. He's hard to sweep. He's very hard to score on. He's hard to score on the back. He's hard to take his back. He has good submission defense. He's has a body style that is difficult to deal with when he is focused on things like that. He's short, stocky, he's very strong. So I think Kenta can give a lot of issues to a lot of people. The only thing where Kenta starts to get a little bit lost against Mica is the submission game. Mica has a lot of really good submissions, and Micah does not have as many of those or doesn't have a super deep game in that area. So, that can be an issue for Kenta, but overall, Kenta's really, really solid, man. And I think people are starting to count him out a little more than they should. I think he's a worthy opponent, and I think he can definitely give a run to somebody like Mica.
Yeah, can't wait to see this fight. And that in this moment at the jiu-jitsu community, we still see the people talk about doping at IBJJF, and the guys from Zada going to the Pato's house to test him. Now, now they have a start to do a surprise test. And for you as a professional athlete, what do you think about the doping at IBJJF? If you can change something about the test, what you do?
Well, I think testing should be one way or the other, you know what I mean? It's the year 2022 when I won Nogi Worlds, everybody knew that they had to test. Everybody signed a waiver for the test. And then everybody left or nobody tested. So that was a joke, and that was a joke on the competitor's part. But then you have the IBJJF showing up to homes. I don't understand the story of why they showed up to Pato's house. I'm not understanding if that's like a thing they do now, or that was just because maybe sometimes when you give a test to USADA, your urine can be too clear and they can't test it, so they have to come retest you. Sometimes you left the venue before you tested. Sometimes there's a problem, you contaminated your sample. So there's a lot of things that can happen that makes them have to come out and retest you. I don't know if this is like a real thing that we're doing now, but I feel like it's one way or the other. If you want to test athletes like one time a year at IBJJF Worlds or D Worlds, I mean, cool, whatever. We all know we're getting tested. If you can't deal with that, if you can't sign up for a tournament, sign a waiver, know that there's a test and do it. That's the athlete being you know, that's the athlete being a liar. That's the athlete being sneaky. But if now all of a sudden they want to show up to our homes and test us randomly, I don't think that they pay us. I don't think that they do anything for us enough for them to show up at my place of work or for them to show up at my house at 7 in the morning. If I go to a tournament, I sign and I agree to their testing. Um, Looking over that waiver, I have never seen that they can out of competition test me, especially after a win. So, yeah, a little confusing. I would have to know more about the story in Pato's situation to know if that's something they really do. But overall, man, I think it's one way or the other. Are you going to test once and continue doing what you're doing? Yeah, that's fine. Everybody who signs up to compete signs the waiver. But are you going to start doing auto competition testing? Now some things need to change. Am I on salary here? Am I doing some things like this? It's not even about any kind of pride or anything, but I get a little uncomfortable if people want to show up to my house at 7 in the morning, to be honest.
It's crazy because one thing I don't understand yet it's why they just test one guy. No make sense. You
Yeah.
need to test all the podium, all the athletes that sign up.
Yeah.
That's will make a difference, right? Do you agree?
A- Absolutely, because everybody who signs up for IBJJF Worlds or IBJJF Nogi Worlds has to sign a separate waiver that says we can test you. And then only one guy gets tested out of a division of 20, 30, 40 people. So the chances of having multiple failures is very rare. You know, you're only testing one person. Um, the reason why they don't test a bunch of people, I don't know. The reason why they travel to somebody's home, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it costs too much money. I don't know if they just don't bother with it or they don't agree to do it. I don't know what it is. I mean, it almost seems like it's a test or it's a thing that they put in place to look like they're keeping the sport clean, you know, to look like they're doing this huge thing. Like, and it's not even that they're doing it for themselves. I feel like they're doing it to satisfy the public, but because I think the public is just always when they don't know anything, they talk and they talk and they always have a problem. They take to Reddit, they take to Instagram, they take to these interviews and they complain. So the IBJJF has to do something, you know, and I just hope that they continue doing what they're doing, or if they're going to step up and do more, that they do more themselves, you know. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's anything, you know, out of the ordinary to do a drug test, but I do think it's a little crazy when the rules change around the drug test. You know, am I going to test at the venue or are you going to follow me to the airport? I'm just not understanding.
Because sometimes it's hard, and the athletes train so hard for the competition, and the rest of in the final of the day, he feels like some pain on the muscle, and you can't took the medicine because if you took the medicine just to relax your muscle, can you can doping, you can
Hmm.
do doping, and it's so
Yeah.
hard. You don't know what you can took and do what you can took.
Yeah, but you know, if you go on USADA, there's a whole list of things that you can and can't take. You can look it up. It gets updated every year. It has a whole list of medicines that you can't take, has a whole list of random drugs that you're not allowed to take. You can do your research online and see what these drugs are, where these drugs are. A lot of these supplements have traces of these stimulants and um, supplements in them that are illegal under USADA's thing, and that doesn't mean shit because a lot of these things you can buy at Target or you could buy at Vitamin Shop, you know. So a lot of people have failed a lot of tests. I mean, Kainan failed a test for something that you find in creatine. I mean, that's to me that's a joke, but at the same time, you got to be smart. You got to look at that list of USADA, you have to look at those 400 or 500 list of banned substances, and you have to be sure that your diet and your supplementation and everything you're doing is not going against that. You know, so that's a job that falls on the athlete. And I think a lot of times because there's only one test a year or there's a set date for the test that a lot of them don't do that. They just, you know, they take their creatine, they take their, you know, testosterone boosters and things like this from Vitamin Shop, not knowing that that can make them fail the test.
Yes. And it's almost 30 minutes of interview. It's a big challenge for me, and I would to say thank you, Dante, for accept. I'm improving my English. I don't live in the America yet, but I'm still learning English. I'm so happy to do this interview with a big star from the grappling. And Dante, thank you one more time for accept the invite.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's awesome that you are pushing yourself to learn English and pushing yourself to interview people that are kind of outside your wheelhouse. You know, I know you have a lot of connections there in Brazil. You know, a lot of people, and it's always easy to sit down and have the good conversation in your native language. So I appreciate you challenging yourself and talking about good topics.
Thank you. See you next time. Good looking on your next fight.
Thank
Os.
you, man. Take care.
Let's go! Fala galera, Felipe Machado aqui falando. Eu sou um dos melhores leglockers que tem aqui no Brasil. Eu tenho nas minhas lutas uma taxa de 90% de finalização. E a maioria dessas finalizações são por heel hook. Provavelmente você já me viu em algum campeonato finalizando heel hook. E eu montei um curso meu sobre todo esse sistema de leglocks que ficou praticamente como um manual com sistemas, subsistemas, detalhes, toda a mecânica ali que eu uso de finalização, que é diferente da maioria das pessoas que vocês já viram fazendo. Passei aqui um dia inteiro gravando com a Ibjjf Protec. E se você quiser se tornar um especialista também, clica em Saiba Mais para você pegar algumas informações e poder adquirir o curso.